started with the action sheet. It's for information. I'll lead on this. Just to confirm, the first two items on the action sheet will remain on the list for the time. Can I just come on that very quickly? I did some research on these. As you can see, we're waiting for a response from Welsh Government. But just to get some guidance so that before we can move on with them. I am aware that this action has been on the sheet for quite a while. I'm not sure if we will hear anything in the near future. I don't know if it is a priority. So what I suggest is to leave it on the list, but I will bring a report, a separate report, maybe, which will take this. I'll bring a report on the income diversification and which will be relevant to the work which I'm conducting in the commercial ballet. I think that the package and the report that I bring will take the place of this action, but that's the intention, really. And on page 13, items 7 and 8, we'll take them off the list because they have been completed. Under the same on for point 14 and 15. Right, okay. Any questions or comments on those matters? Everybody happy? Okay, thank you. So we'll move on to item 5, promoting access to Eryri National Park, report by Audit Wales. I think that Sarah will take this, is it? Good morning, Sarah. Welcome. Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to come here today. And also thank you to the park officers for helping us with this audit. The work was part of the Audit Wales work within the authority. We were looking at it, is the authority doing everything that it can do to promote equality and diversity of access to the park by groups who don't have enough representation at the moment? The background to the work really is, obviously, the National Park attracts millions of visitors each year. But within the context of policies and regulations for well-being, we just wanted to look if there was requirements on public authorities, including the park, to promote equality to a wide range of people who visit the park. So there's quite a long, been an ongoing process for quite a while. It was announced in 2023 and the fieldwork happened last October. The draft report was sent out in January and the final report in July. So I'd like to apologise for the time it's taken us to complete the work. We've had difficulties with staffing the work due to absences and illnesses and changes within the team. Going into the content of the adrot, you've got the report in front of you stating noting the further about the objections and the outcomes for the report. On 21 forwards within your package, you'll see the recommendation that I'd like to note that the park is losing opportunities to plan strategically for better opportunities for groups who don't have adequate representation. So the report goes on to state recommendations within the report, which have been created to help to develop and strengthen the work the authority does within this area of promoting access. The recommendations include, for example, recommendation to strengthen the evidence base of the authority, to improve the understanding of who does attend the park or who doesn't attend the park, map out all the potential partners that the authority could work with, better clarity of the cost to carry out the work required to promote the vision of promoting access, and maybe ways of reviewing to see if the work carried out does go towards achieving these outcomes. So I'd like to thank the authority for the response to the authority and for completing the report. The report includes the authority's response to this audit on page 32. The authority has undertaken to agree to all the recommendations noted in the report, and they've set out a timeline for achieving these objectives. And the information within the document from our perspective in order to, as noted, and looking at the appropriate steps to put in place to get to grips with what is recommended within the report. I'm happy to take any questions on this report. If there are any questions, Thank you. Thank you, Sarah. Are there any questions? Would anyone like to make a comment? So the Delyth, do you want to come in on this?
Iawn, ydych chi'n clywed?
Can you hear me?
So, diolch am hynny, Sarah.
Thank you for this. This isn't a question, a direct question for you, Sarah. Just more maybe with the officers being giving a presentation after Sarah, or can I just go on to ask more relevant questions for us as an authority?
Na, mae'n iawn I chi
No.
gofyn cwestiynau.
No. This is a report which is very valuable, and I welcome the recommendations from including in Appendix 2, because a year ago a group of us went up to Newcastle to the National Park Conference. And this isn't something which is new to anyone of the parks, so to be trying to find ways of promoting access to the groups that we don't normally reach. And it is difficult. And I think there are missed opportunities in the strategic planning, but it is very difficult to know who we don't reach, what we don't know really, isn't it? But I do welcome this, and I saw it in the appendix that there was a symposium being organised at the beginning of the year to discuss this. The question that I have really for officers, and that we are discussing the strategic equality plan and the engagement strategy as well. And these all tie into the subject, really, the promoting access. I just wanted to make sure that we are happy that we are giving enough attention to the recommendations including in this appendix in the equality strategic plan, because a lot of our strategic equality plan deals with internal issues. So just to make sure that this was included in it for the coming year, and that it works with the timeline of our engagement strategy as well. Thank you, Delyth. Do you want to come back on this, Sarah? Let's Bethan respond to that. Thank you, Delyth. As you said, everything does tie in together and nothing sits on its own, really. So the equality plan, the work that we're doing now with Angela's leading it, with the new Cynllunio plan, we'll start this year. And the symposium, or the workshop we're going to call it, we haven't decided yet. In January, it's all going to play a part in this. So everything will be tied in together, hopefully. Thank you. Does anyone have any other comments on this matter? Oh, thank you, Bethan, for the work you're doing in this. And thank you very much, Sarah, for joining us this morning with the report. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to item 6, the strategic. Oh, do we want to? Can everyone show that they agree with the recommendation? Can we have a show of hands for that? Okay, thank you. Great. Right. Item 6, the strategic equality plan. And Bethan, you're leading on this, are you? This is our annual report for 24-25 on our strategic equality plan. The work It's tied into our day-to-day work, the work included in this plan, and for that reason, some of this information within the report will be familiar to one of you because it is reported in other places, and there's new data included in this report as well. It's quite long. I won't go through it point by point, but if you do have any specific questions about any element included in the report, I'd be happy to try and answer those. Or Nia will ask any elements regarding staffing or HR. But as you can see, the recommendation is to approve the annual report so that we can publish it on the authority's website, which is requirement. Does anyone have any comment or question? Tim, just like to approve it. I think it's a great report. This is some very important information included. I just wanted to add one thing from my experience. On page 49, where we talk about the welcoming voice. I've been working in Grŵp Cynefin as an ambassador, dealing with domestic violence against women and working with men on this. Maybe that we could include that, or we could look into it. I'd be very happy to discuss it further with you. That'd be great. Very useful. Thank you, Tim. Thank you. Just want to reinforce what Tim just said. It's a very interesting report. And there's a lot of information included. That is one of the points that I was going to ask you. So how does this tie in with the recommendations, which is included in the audit? Because all of that touches, the overreaching touches within different themes, because I'm not going down that path. But two things. The flexi, just want to understand what the flexi, the extremely flexible flexi, and how hard is it to manage it really, considering the differences there are in different roles that staff carry out within the pack. There was nervousness to move from set hours. You had to be at work between 10 and 12 and time off for lunch, and then back between 2 and 4. We felt that this was constricting. We also felt, on a positive way, that we didn't organize meetings, that we only organized meetings during those times. So we felt that everybody was really busy during that time as well. So it's counterproductive, really. So what we've done, we've taken the core hours away. And then what we've opened the window a little bit for about half an hour. So between 7 in the morning and 7 in the evening, you can work within your flexi hours. It still has to be passed through your line manager. And we were concerned that we'd lose management on services, being able to respond to inquiries, etc. But we trialed this system for a year, and we received very positive feedback from members of staff. And the services haven't been impacted by this. We haven't found one specific instance where a manager has had to pull someone in on this. But there is a caveat. If any line manager finds that there is an issue, they do have the right to set specific hours between 9 and 5 for individuals. I just felt that there's another flow in the with health and well-being, which is discussed in the health and safety report later on. So I saw that as a positive thing. So one other quick question I have on page 66, we talk about this data about the applicants for posts. Where is it? How many application forms come in? I don't know if the report follows a format, a statutory format, but it would be interesting to know how many of the posts which became vacant during this period. So this over the year that 300 and the number of the forms that came in. So it would be good to see the context really, to say, well, if these applications, for how many posts these applications came in. That was one thing. And in the same manner, how many people were invited for interviews who ticked who ticked one of the specific boxes that you're tracking, if that makes sense. Or who, not just applied for, but who'd been invited for interview. How many people we interview from each category. It would just give us a clearer picture, to see what the patterns are. That's just the comment I want to make. But I'd like us to adopt the report. Thank you for the response. Edgar? You'd like to second it. Is everyone happy with the report? Then can we have a show of hand that they accept the recommendation? Thank you. And thank you, Bethania, for your work on that. Right. Item 7 is the internal audit plan. Lynette has joined us on the screen. Welcome, Lynette. Morning. Right, this report follows the audit plan, the revised audit plan, which was proposed on the 25-26, which came before us in the 9th of July. But following discussions with the leadership team, which were held on the 22nd of September, discussed the risk profile of the authority. Following on from that, we met with the Director of Corporate Services to discuss and revisit the plan and agree on the work plan. Two things which became evident during with the poor and ineffective management of projects by the authority and the financial and reputational risk in respect of the future of Plaston y Bwlch. Following on from that, the plan has changed. It includes project management, Plaston y Bwlch, follow-up work, and then the audits conducted in 24-25, and others for management and committees. It's important that the audit plan is something which is flexible, and if there is a matter that the authority feels which could be a potential risk, it is possible to change the audit plan to reflect any risks which have become evident and where people feel that they should be put as a priority. There are no additional resources due to changing the report, but the work has started on the project management audits and on Plaston y Bwlch. Thank you very much. Thank you, Lynette. Does anybody have any questions for Lynette or any comments? I'd just like to welcome the fact that we are looking into Plaston y Bwlch and what's happening there. I think it's very important that we get someone from outside the authority to look at the factors, the financial risk factors. And I'd like to see how far this goes and more detail about what the work undertaken, if possible. Anyone else like to see something? No? Everyone happy? Okay, thank you, Lynette. And the recommendation is to consider the revised audit plan to accept the plan, yes. And if there are any recommendations so if you'd just like to show that you accept the revised audit plan. Thank you, Lynette, for taking us through that. Okay. Item 8, Health and Safety Annual Report. And Gareth Hughes. Gareth, welcome, Gareth. This is the second report that I've presented to you. Last year was my first report. And the purpose of the report is to give you an overview of how we manage health and safety and well-being within the authority. I'm happy to take any questions on the report and on our work in general. Thank you. Tim? Just two things. The same as they do in each committee meeting. It would be great to see. It would be good to see more near Mrs. Reporter. We don't have many here. There should be. It should be seeing more there. But I know it's difficult. If we could see more of this, we would see more. We'd have a better overview of what the accidents that could happen. One thing that stands out really, if you look at 7.3, where these things have happened, I was very surprised to see that so many happened in as many happened in Plas had happened out in the field. You'd expect them to happen out in the field because we conduct high risk there, but Plas that concerns me. You know, what's happened, is it the management? What's happening with the management of health and safety there? Is it being conducted appropriately? And we think we should look into that in more detail. I'd like to respond to that. A number of those were incidents. They aren't near misses. They weren't actual accidents. More of a fire alarms being sounded. We do have a new caretaker on site now, and he does conduct fire checks and the statutory items and getting them to a higher level. So a lot of these are fire alarms going off at night, is it? We still have challenges there, so we have to respond to them. And we have people staying there at the moment, and they cook in areas where which aren't used to having people kicking there. So the sensors are new to the site as well. So we have to respond to all of those. We are trying to be. That makes it a lot clearer for me. Thank you. It's just that seeing the figures set out on paper that it looked as if things were very dangerous in the past. But if that's that's what's behind it, I'm very happy with that. Thank you. I think there are a lot of fire alarms. If there's water comes in and it falls on that can trigger an alarm as well. They're incidents rather than accidents, but it does something that we need to look into. But what we've done since the remains have been staying there, we've been ensured that 2 members of staff in Plas are together at all time. They have necklaces around their necks as well with the lone working device though. So just like to add to that then, with the health and safety is a priority. There have been less incidents than there have been before. That's very positive to hear. Thank you, Tim. Any other comments or questions for Nia? No? I'd just like to propose, and just to as I've said in the health and safety report, the fact that we haven't had the Ritter event is to be welcomed. That hopefully shows that there is adequate management around of our risks, because obviously there are high risk activities which take place on site. So I'd just like to, that is very encouraging. But one other thing, that 8.2, the days of loss due to mental health issues, the figure has gone up between 2022 and this year. Do we know what's behind that? I know you've talked about work-based stress and things like that. I think across the country, I think the figures have gone up in this area following the COVID period. But the way that we report as well has also changed. We look in more detail into each incident and we report it. Is it stress or is it workload stress? And that's why I think that if we look further back, we see that it possibly isn't connected to it. But we have more of a responsibility now to respond to these issues, and that we need to conduct risk assessments of stress. So what we're saying is that the baseline has changed on the way that we record it. It's not that there are more instances. I can't tell you in a scientific manner, but I would say that that is the feeling is that, yes, that's, I agree with that. And we have launched quite recently something we should be really proud of with IT. It's a post system. And what it does, that once a week, randomly to all members of staff, in the icons in the bottom, the post tab comes up. You click on it. And if you're responding with the feelings reel that they do, they conduct them with autistic children as well in schools. And businesses have started to do as well. When you're ready to do it, it won't cut across anything that you're doing. You have to click on it. It comes up and it asks you how you feel today. And it gives you time to take a pause and maybe think, oh yeah, I do feel quite stressed today. And it produces reports and it's great. It's very insightful. The intention there is, we've done it in an anonymous manner now, but if we do find that there are people do report that they feel under pressure, or we then return to the staff forum and we'll ask them, do you happy for us to look into more detail there so that we can approach the relevant manager if required. So the estimate's called pause because we take a pause just to take a check and to think how we feel. And it does make you think when it pops up, you click on it, you think, how do I feel? And you don't have to do anything further, but there is an opportunity there where you can add more information if you require. So that's something which is really positive. You think after this year that we'll have like a baseline that we can, is it going up or is it going down? Yes, I think, because I think that we've changed how we report on the options. We have included, if it's attached to work or if it's a home-based issue. Until this year, it hasn't been. So I hope by next year that we'd have a better baseline. So there'll be a constant measure that we'll be able to measure against. Great. Thank you, Tim. In the recommendation, it states, note the strong performance and to support the ongoing improvements, the developing internal framework, better utilization of absence data systems, implementation of actions and stress indicator, and continued investment in staff training and wellbeing initiatives. So, then, can we have a show of hands? It's important that the health of our staff is a priority. And thank you very much for the report. Okay. We'll move on to item 9, corporate work programme.
So
it's I've drawn attention to one thing right at the start. It's It's being in place for 25-26 and point 30. This marked in red, sorry. It's on page 88 of the papers. So what we thought of doing is go through the work programme page by page. You can see that I've used traffic light system once again. So you can see what's going well, what's in yellow, and what's red, of course. And hopefully there'll be more information on each one of these in the future. We'll go through the pages. And those of you who are at home, please give me a shout out if you'd like to stop or come back to a point. In the same manner. So we'll go to 85 to start off with. So shout out if you have anything you'd like to raise. 86,
Wyth deg a saith.
87. The reason why this has been postponed is that the work pressure on 87, 1.5, to produce an engagement strategy, has been set back. It's regarding absence, I think. We've discussed it with the leadership team. If the absence continues in December, I will undertake this work. Yeah. And the next one is like that as well. Guidance, the work. Okay. 87, 88, 89. Same question. Just that the one has mentioned. What's the reason behind this? I think it's been set back. The 1.10. Just wanted to understand the reasoning behind it. It's partly due to workload pressure. I'm just looking at different ways of doing things. Thank you, Tim. 89. On to 90. 91. 92. 93. 94.
96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 119, 120, 121, 122, 123. That's it, I think. Can I just say something quickly? It's very heartening to see so much green here. The amount of work that has been undertaken is amazing, really. And the success in itself in completing this work should be noted. I'm very glad that so much of this work has been undertaken. Thanks to everybody who's been involved. Yes, you're right there.
I
just wanted to reiterate the comments made about the workload. And most of the things that appeared to be slipping or behind were things that we were aware of. And so in that triangle, that showed us that you were sharing information with the authority in good time and sufficiently. Can I just ask, if the traffic light stated that there are 80, say, indicators, 75% is green, just to give us an indication if anything's changed since the last time, that there is continuity but downward trend, then we could flag that, or an upward trend, obviously. Because it is such a large report, and I just wanted to give the items that required attention due attention, really. But thanks to everybody involved. Do we have any? Are we happy to go with the recommendation? Can we have a show of hands, please? Thank you very much. And thank you to everyone involved for all their hard work. On to item 10, which is responding to the Audit Wales report on setting well-being objectives. John, you will remember we discussed this in the last working group, so I won't go into too much detail. Just to draw your attention to the fact that Audit Wales has undertaken the assessment and sustainable development principle has been noted in developing the wellbeing objectives. For those of you who have not been a part of the setting the wellbeing objectives in the past, a lot of you will have been, of course. These were set in 2021 for a period of 5 years, and they are reviewed every year. And this is the strategic framework for all of the authorities' work, basically. To put them into context, they need to be reviewed now. So if you remember the presentation given to the members before the summer, we delayed them in order to prepare Cynllun Eryri, because one flowed into another, and we felt that it would be useful to do that. But following training that we got from the Future Generations officers, we decided to integrate both things, so because it makes sense, and perhaps we should have thought of that a bit earlier, but I think it's a sensible thing to do. So the two pieces of work that we're working on now, there's a meeting next month, how we can integrate the work on Cynllun that Angela's doing on Cynllun Eryri and integrating the wellbeing objectives into that. It sounds simple, but it's not quite as simple as we'd foreseen. There are the ongoing discussions at the moment, and we'll be presenting papers in front of you, to you in the next few months. As you can see in the paragraph 3.1, the main conclusion is that Audit Wales is satisfied as a whole that the authority has applied the Sustainable Development Principle in applying its wellbeing objectives, which is heartening. But there are also recommendations, as you can see in paragraph 3.2, and we are working towards these. And if you go on to the appendix, page 145, it shows how the authority is going to respond to both those recommendations. So like I mentioned, we've had training by the Future Generations officer on this, and the fact that they've been reviewed now and that Cynllun Eryri has been reviewed is very timely. It just gives an opportunity to respond to both recommendations in a sensible way. And I'm quite confident that we will be able to achieve those two recommendations pretty easily with the work that's going to be undertaken. Well, easy is not the word I'm thinking of, in fact, but smoothly, shall we say. So this is how we're intending to respond. I don't know if Audit Wales has anything to add to that. Sarah, did you want to come in there? Just to say thank you, and thanks to the officers for the officers for setting aside the time. I think John has mentioned everything that I was going to from our perspective as Audit Wales. And looking at the responses in the forms, we felt that they were appropriate steps that will, and we think that this is a way forward in regard to implementing our recommendations and look forward to seeing how this develops. Tim, I think joining this or aligning this, shall we say, with Cynllunio is a great idea. Make it more essential to what we do and it's a part of our culture. And it's a very positive step to take. And thanks to everybody for this. And thanks for your comment, Tim. Does anybody else want to make any comment in relation to this? Everybody happy with that? The recommendation is for the members to approve the response in Appendix 2 as the authority's formal response to Audit Wales's report and recommendations. Can we have a show of hands, please, that you're in agreement? Okay, thank you very much. On to item 11, which is the Welsh Government's performance monitoring targets, April to September 2025. John, once again. As you will remember, I presented this to you back in September, and the authority has now presented a performance monitoring framework for our work as attached with the strategic grants letter. It knows how we can respond to the requirements and measures what we do. And I welcome the fact that the government consulted on the performance framework before they adopted it. We were pretty satisfied with the content, and that's very useful. I'm not intending to go into the performance in detail today, and the reason for that is this is measured on an annual basis, and this is the mid-term one, 6 months into the term. It's been done in a bit of a rush. We only adopted the framework from the government back in August, so it was a bit of a race to get everything together in relation to this. But I am happy for you to come in with any comments on the performance. If there's anything that jumps out, it looks quite positive in my mind. As you can see, we have been able to respond to the majority of the requirements in the framework. Many of you is on the narrative rather than on the figures, and what you'll see will happen as this progresses. The actual evidence will improve and the statistics will improve, and our ability to be able to compare how we monitor it over time will be easier. It's difficult to come to conclusions on this morning, but there are one or two interesting things in the content. So if you want to go into detail on that, I'm happy to do so. But otherwise, it's there for you to approve the authority's initial response, mid-year response. It's a great report, actually. One thing I just wanted to ask about in relation to item EN2, this relates to figures on how much peatland we have, and it's gone down. I take it that that is a statistical thing. Naomi, do you remember we had a discussion on this, didn't we? Do you remember? No, I don't. It is something to do with the way it's been measured. I'd just like to understand the figures, really. I think that you will see these figures improving, and I will be presenting this again to you in the Performance and Resources Committee in July of next year. And this will be fine-tuned by then. and as we move on, we'll understand the figures much better. It's a great report, and thank you to everybody for the work that they've done. Does anybody else want to comment? Everybody happy with that? The recommendation is for the members to approve the authority's initial mid-tier response to the Welsh Government on new performance and management targets, and also that members note that further detailed assessments will follow in July 2026. Okay, can we have a show of hands, please, with that recommendation, if you're in agreement with the recommendation? Thank you. John, item 2, sustainable places, sustainable landscapes, sustainable places, 3-year grant funding. You will be aware that this is the program that the government is implementing jointly with the 3 parks, with the 8 landscape designations, not just the park. And this is a summary of what we've been doing in 2024, 2025, 22, 2025. So it's just an overview, basically, of all of the committed expenditure in relation to this work. Brilliant projects have been delivered over the past few years. If you want the finer detail, you can find the detail on Landscapes Wales website. It's at the top of the website link, and you can look at more detail there. Like I said, there is a typo in the conclusion at the end. 11 million, that should be 11 million. It should be 1.1 million. Apologies for that. So I don't have much more detail on that I need to elaborate on. It's just an overview of expenditure on decarbonisation, nature recovery, supporting communities, etc. I don't know if I have all of the details in relation to the individual projects, but I would be happy to go back to the relevant officers if you want to ask anything specific. And I'm looking forward because there's work on the next tranche of this scheme, and this will be presented to this committee in the future as well. Thank you. Any comments on this matter? Any questions? Everybody happy with that? The recommendation is that the members note the various projects that have been completed under SLSP funding between 2022-25 and provide any feedback, if any. Can we have a show of hands, please? Thank you. On to item 13, Pay Policy Statement 2024 and Pay Policy Annual Report for 2023-2024. And it's Nia who's leading on this. Gina presented this in July, and there was a mistake with the salaries noted in yellow on page 76. 176, sorry. It's been highlighted in yellow, and a further pay award has been made since July. And those figures have been changed since, and they will be reported in the pay policy statement in July. Any questions on that matter, Tania? No. If everybody's happy, the recommendation is to approve the pay policy and note the pay policy annual report for 2023-24. Show of hands, thank you. We're on the last item now, the TIC's annual report. Awel is leading on this. Hello, I'm on Zoom. We can't see you. There's something wrong with my camera. So. Okay, welcome. I'll just listen to your voice. I hope you're all well. Did you want to add anything to this report? What do you have to report for us? Nothing in addition to what's been noted in the report as such. Beth Gellert's centres and Aberdyfi are pretty static. Betws y Coed has seen an increase in the number of visitors, but the turnover is down a bit. The biggest change is Pen y Pass. But we do have plans in the pipeline for next year, hopefully. But I don't know if anybody has any questions in relation to this at all. We'll open it to the floor. Can you see us? Yes, we can see. I can see you. Any questions, anybody? Everybody seems to be happy, and thank you for the work that you do with the TICs. Thank you. No problem. So shall we approve it? Just that for the members to know the contents of the report, and show of hands, and thank you for joining us, Awel. Thank you very much. Bye. And with those few words, we can draw the meeting to a close, and thank you for attending, and thank you for joining us at home as well.